There are about a million different ways that people set up their days for productivity. There are a lot of different ways to even view productivity. But I thought it might be interesting or helpful if I shared my own perspective about how I set up my calendar just about every single weekday to make sure that I'm being productive in different ways throughout the day. Now, I do say productive not because I'm joking about being productive or I don't think that productivity is important. It definitely is. When I say productive, I'm looking at it more holistically. I think about productivity in terms of how we are focusing in and paying attention to the different areas of our lives. Because in a lot of ways, rest is very productive when we do it productively. Play is very productive. It can be very recharging. It can make us feel better. It can help refill that attention bucket when we do things that we enjoy so that we can really give more of ourselves to the work we're doing during the work productivity. And so that's how my system really comes into play. Okay, so I have seen other videos from Just Jolie, Matt Diavella, Thomas Frank that go into detail about how they're scheduling their days. This is something that's a little different, maybe somewhat inspired by that because maybe I tried this super hyper detailed item by item type of stuff that those guys do and didn't really find that it worked too well for me. So essentially what I got into was this simplified version and it ended up working really well. Just enough so that I could see some difference, really dig into what it was that was happening day to day without having so much detail that it became overwhelming. So this is how I do it. As you can see here, I have connect, maintain, rest, and work. These are the general categories that I like to use. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be showing more of like a typical 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. workday, but my workday actually extends through the entire day because I take stuff from this area right here, what would normally be a 8 a.m. to noon work block during a typical workday, and I break up the evening free time and intersperse it throughout the day. Another really important thing here is that typically when you're at a job or you're working in an office, you would not be working that full time. The 8 a.m. to 12 noon block would definitely have some discussion, some meetings, some things like that. And when I put a work block on my calendar, it means that I'm very specifically doing that thing. So I'm sitting down and creating something, or I'm sitting down and outputting that specific work. So in a way, it's much more efficient and it's much more actually work, if that makes sense. So with that being said, I'll kick over to the example of what like an 8 to 5 version of this might look like. And starting off with a typical day, I consider my coffee and just boot up routine to be rest because I'm starting up. It's peaceful. I try to do it slowly and intentionally. As you saw in the beginning of the video, it's a bit science, a bit coffee. So from there, I usually start with a focus session with the community right around either 8 or 9, and that goes for 90 minutes. So that's the first focus block. Chess for me is like play, but it's also rest. So that's why it fits into the rest category. It's like a focused, enjoyable thing, and that helps me recharge. With the connection you'll see, which is the yellow, my friend Kate has a new book coming out on September 15th, which I'll link to in the comments because it's going to be an amazing book. But that would be a chat with her to talk about her book launch and what she's doing for all of that, making sure that I have enough connection throughout the week that I'm actually communicating with people and not being a complete hermit in the pandemic situation here, but also not that my entire days aren't filling up with just talking, because a lot of the time just talking doesn't get much done. So you can see the next block starts where I'd write a newsletter and really focus in on that one thing. Then the maintenance, which is food or cleaning or tidying or just doing things that are required to maintain life, going and getting the mail, whatever it may be. Those are the things that I do during the maintenance block. That's working out as well, as you can see. Now, these are never going to be perfect. Like, I'm not going to work out for an hour in that block. I might do a 20 or 30 minute session on the bike and then just
cool down and relax. Like, it doesn't have to be the full block. You just want to rough this stuff in so you have a sense of if you're trying to take on too much for the week or if you're actually creating space for your recharging. As I mentioned the bucket earlier, I like to think of this stuff like a bucket that you're trying to put out a fire with. So if there's a fire burning and you fill up a bucket with water and you start dumping water on it, that's doing the work. That is focusing in and giving it what you got. But unfortunately, you're going to run out of water in that bucket, which means you need to go get more water. But often what we do is we just keep trying to dump water from the bucket. Maybe there's a drop left in there and we just keep dumping, but nothing's coming out and that fire keeps burning. And if things get really, really bad, we might even take the bucket and just set it on top of the fire, hoping that it will put the fire out. It never really does unless it's a very, very small fire, and then you have a damaged bucket. What we need to do is break up this fire putting out process so that we can stop, take the bucket back to the sink, fill it back up with water, and then return to do the work. That's going to be so much more effective than, chopping trees with a dull axe, right? Same kind of deal. These are the things that we often cut out when we get busier, but it's actually some of the most essential parts because we'll work more productively on the work, we'll be better focused, we'll have more to give to that work when we split things up. Now, it doesn't have to look exactly like this. This is just the breakdown of the system that I like to use, and every day is different for me. I don't have a perfect every day, 5 days of the week system that I do because different things need to happen at different times on different days. So it'll switch it up. But what I do like to do is just sort of take this system and build it out for the entire work week and then write in my notebook what I'm doing so that I know that roughly there's a place where the work will be happening for all of the things I set out to do, which is what allows me to have some semblance of completion in a work week. Because otherwise, like, I can always make more videos. I can always create more stuff for Break the Twitch. The work is never, ever, ever, ever done. So psychologically, it really helps to just have that attainable goal that I can actually embrace and step into and let it be what it is if I actually reach that goal, which is a nice thing to do. So I can enjoy the weekend like anyone else would want to enjoy the weekend. So that is the system that I have found works well for me. I would love to know what you do, what you think about this system. And if you have any questions at all, I'd be more than happy to answer those in the comments of this video. Just drop it down below and let's chat. Thanks so much for your attention. I'll see you in the next one.